What's up, guys? Keyshawn Uchi here. Now, I thought since I'm not sleeping, I might as well just, make another video. This will be mix two of all crazy what ifs going to be in this what if. And of course, I'm going to be in this what if. And we're going to see, well, yeah, this is basically just a mix, part one. Basically, this is basically what all what if ideas, everything crazy in there. We could pretty much add, I'm going to say, my subscribers and me, we can pretty much keep adding ideas in this what if, because this what if is just going to be, you could say you could say a mix, as it's going to be infinite parts, and we can keep adding parts to this wherever we want, add whatever we want. We can switch and change characters wherever we want because it's just a mix, kind of like King of Hearts mix. This will be Naruto mix part 2, you could say. But pretty much what's going on here and what is this mix? Well, pretty much this mix will have many different characters, ages, changes. Some characters might switch into female, or some characters might have their own female characters together with them and stuff, which you could say give or take. Now, pretty much how will we start this off and how would this mix go? We start off with me, Kishan Uchiha. Now, pretty much Kishan Uchiha is, or should I say, I pretty much is pretty much setting up the plates of the universe, or pretty much setting up the whole checkers in the board, and pretty much saying, all right, let's see. Now we're going to start before the Nine Tails attack and all that. We're going to start with pretty much Nagato being born, and now Nagato will be born in a different place, just at the same time Naruto's being born. Now this is going to be the attack of the whole Leaf Village of the Ren anniversary of her death and stuff. Now, due to that, this is where uh, Naruto started crying and stuff, and the Nine Tails is pretty much attacking. Minato pretty much defeats Obito, and Obito escapes and begins to use the Reaper Death Seal. Now, this is where I'm gonna have to take some ideas from other YouTubers as I was watching a video. Not like 100% of the YouTube video, but certain parts of it. Now, this is where I pretty much stop time and appear in front of Naruto. Now, this is where I give Naruto everything, as all the way to all Kinky Kenkais. We're basically making Naruto overpowered, but Sasuke will be overpowered too because I want him to be overpowered because this is a mix. And I begin to take two of their DNA. Wow, you could say Sasuke be born the same day too, so Naruto and Sasuke will be the same age. Now, this is where I take Naruto DNA and I appear and pretty much take Sasuke DNA. It pretty much says this will be hold on for the time being. And, well, you could say I'm taking DNA from other people and stuff. And pretty much, well, you could say pretty much taking DNA for certain people and stuff, including Nagato, and pretty much disappear. Now, this is where I resume time. And as Nagato's doing the Reaper Death Seal, this is where Naruto touches the Reaper Death. And this is where Naruto unknowingly begins to also look at the Nine Tails Cherokee Kurama and absorbs the full Nine Tails in him. Well, yeah, the full Nine Tails in him. Now, this is where Minato is shocked that that happened, and also Naruto pretty much releasing Kushina and Minato. So we're just gonna say for the plot. And Minato and Kushina is alive to raise Naruto in this. And Naruto begins to, start crying and start shifting his eyes into the Tessagan, to the Sharingan, up to the Mangekyo Sharingan, then to the Turtle Mangekyo Sharingan. And then switching like back and forth and everywhere. Up to the Byakugan, switching to Kinky Kikai's bones and spikes coming out. This is where one of the Kyuga Kinky Kikai comes out and pretty much starts having, like, we're gonna say sharp bones appear and stuff, and Minato had to let go because he almost got stabbed by it. Now this is where of course Kushina goes to Naruto and pretty much holds him, which Naruto stops crying and opens up his eyes and begins to look at his mom and smile. Now, of course, this is where Minato takes the son with Kushina, and they pretty much, what you could say, head to the hospital and stuff. Now, this is where all the clans got called upon, and they begin to all look at Naruto. Now, Naruto is pretty much having bugs. We're gonna say like bugs crawling over him, pretty much protecting him as an armor. Sand is moving around him and stuff, and just as also yeah, sand is moving around him and stuff. But this is where Sasuke get brought into, which Sasuke begins to start to transform with eyes into, starts to transform eyes, have like multiple eyes and starts changing and stuff, which Kurama begins to think and says, huh, I can see. Which this is where they bring a third baby. Now I know what you're thinking. A third baby has powers too. No, what this baby can possibly have that's just as powerful? And it's going to be Sakura Haruno. Now I know what you're thinking. Sakura Haruno? She's going to be okay in this? This is quite crazy. This is outrageous, Keisha Anuchia. I believe I'm going to give this a dislike. Now, calm down, guys. I know what y'all thinking. None of us like a Sakura, but right now, we just have to do it. This is a mixed part two. Now, the mixed part three, Sakura will not be including in the mixed part three, but this will be the mixed part two of everything. But let's continue. This is where they bring a third child, which the Sakura begins to, open up her eyes and she begins to switch into, all the different stage. And this is where all their eyes switch to the Rinnegan, which this is where Nakato is in like shock and also impressed that his son has it. And we're gonna say Sakura parents is happy that her child, that like, well, Karma pretty much says that this is out of odd. They're all three of them are the stage of cis path, which this is where we're gonna say all the Tell Beasts begins to get informed by Kurama, and pretty much the Tell Beast begins to, well, we're gonna say pretty much this is where the Tell Beast begins to just leave their host body, but not killing them, just leaving them. It begins to start leaving them and appearing all around the Leaf Village. Now, of course, this is where Minato shows and begins to get his fine sense, which Kurama says no. They're here to pretty much go inside uh, these children because they are the sages of path, which this is where all the Jinchuriki starts deciding which body they want to go to. We're gonna say the one tells Jinchuriki goes in Sakura, the two tells Jinchuriki goes in Sakura, uh, three tells goes in Sakura, four tells goes in Sasuke, five tails goes in Sasuke goes with Sasuke, six tails Sasuke, seven tails Naruto, eight tails Naruto. So yeah, all three of them will have three tails. All so Sakura will have the first tail Jinchuriki, second tail, and third tails. Sasuke will have the fourth, fifth, and sixth. Naruto will have the eight, nine, and seven. So yeah, just to have Naruto to have that upper head, you can say. But let's continue. Now, this is where we do a time skip, and Naruto is pretty much 5 years old. Now, this is where I start creating the clones of everybody and start making them as, you could say, kid versions for Naruto. This is where I pretty much transform as a kid. I pretty much, you could say, reverse my age and made myself as 5 Now, this is where uh, Naruto goes to the academy, which Sasuke goes to the academy much older, and also Sakura, and they begins to pass through the academy and stuff with quick ease. Pretty much, they pass through the academy; they don't need to go back. But uh, we're gonna say this is where Danzo asks Minato to train Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto into you know find ninjas to be for the Leaf because the Leaf villages pretty much has all the Chinchuriki, and pretty much they're the most, you could say, strongest map out there. So no one would dare fight the Leaf Village, and if they did, they'd pretty much get killed. But yeah, let's go back. Pretty much, this is where Danzo acts, which Minato looks at Danzo with a death stare. It pretty much tells Danzo that he's disbanding his Amu and stuff, and pretty much I'm gonna say pretty much the first 10 till Chinchuriki, pretty much, we're gonna say all the Chinchuriki sense emotion, and since Danzo wants Naruto and Sasuke and Sakura eyes for herself, which this is where Minato hurry up and tells Namu to arrest Danzo, which Danzo gets arrested. So Danzo will not be in the picture anytime soon. But yeah, pretty much this is where the Uchiha, yeah, the Uchiha, uh, Hyuga, and yeah, basically every clan begins to, well, not every clan. Well, we're gonna say only like the Hyuga and pretty much the Uchiha and also, I guess what's another powerful clan? I guess also the Bug Clan, since Naruto can summon objects and stuff, and he has Bug's option. So I guess. But we're just gonna say three, those two clans for now, the Uchiha and the Hyuga, pretty much come in. But this is where Jiraiya comes back. We're gonna say a little bit later after hearing the news, and pretty much brings Nagato. Now, this is where Kushina looks and says, "Huh, what's your name, ID?" Which this is where Nagato says his name, Nagato Uzumaki, which Kushina says he's Uzumaki, which this is where Nagato has his eyes, which Nagato will have his friends with him, because we're gonna say Jiraiya asks Nagato to come with him to come to the Leaf and to stay there, so he won't feel outcast, which Nagato agrees and his friends agree. So Nagato will be in the Leaf Village, more or less. Now, this is where I guess we're gonna get to the point where Nagato passes with his team, so they're also out. But this is where they start their training, and we're gonna say this is now a 10-year-old Naruto, and he's pretty much Naruto pretty much knows that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura is strong, and they know that they can pretty much destroy anyone, but they don't want them to be like emotionless soldiers. So this is where Minato uh sends pretty much Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto back to the academy so they can make friends and stuff. And Mitsuki never did the scroll of stealing because, or wants to steal the scroll, or ever got offered up by Orochimaru, because pretty much Mitsuki feels blessed when he's by the Sage's Fifth Path, and we're just gonna say that if you be by the Sage's Fifth Path, you basically get stronger. So basically, yeah. But pretty much Hinata uh gets brought into the group to train. So Hinata pretty much has a similar eyes as the Tespion. So I'm only saying that because we gotta have Hinata be buff too. But let's continue. Pretty much this is where all of them get sent back to the academy, including Hinata, because we're gonna say Hinata was training with them. Now this is where they're going back to the academy, and pretty much they all go in there, which pretty much Sakura will be. Well, we're gonna say this is where all the girls see Sasuke and Naruto, and they begins to start running to Naruto and Sasuke, which Sakura pretty much gets in front of Sasuke. Sasuke pretty much tell the girls to back up. Sasuke is hers, which all the girls immediately backs away from Sasuke, which they all start trying to run to Naruto, which Naruto pretty much Hinata says, "I'm gonna do the same thing," and the girls are pretty much about to bamboozle her till Naruto gives I guess Hinata a little bit of a chakra boost, which it forms an aura around her, which all the girls back away. Now, of course, this is where uh, Naruto, I guess you could say Naruto goes to the academy. Well, yeah, we're gonna say since they're already at the academy, this is where I pretty much will be sitting down in class, and Naruto begins to look around, and he sees, a lot of people who has potential. He senses a potential power, which Sakura and Sasuke notice too. Now this is where this is where Naruto makes his first move and goes to Kiba, Shikamaru, Troji, uh, and also Ino. Now he makes friends with Kiba, Troji, but not Shikamaru. But he makes friends with Ino, and he pretty much learns the techniques which Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata, not Hinata, but Sakura immediately gets all the techniques down, and they pretty much start, mixing, experimenting together. Like they kind of has a triangle, and that triangle basically think of ideas together. So they synchronize of what to make it better and how to cancel out the flaws and stuff. Which for we're gonna say for Ino, when she shows her monstrous ninjutsu to Naruto, which Naruto realizes he get caught under, he begins to go turns around to Sasuke, which Sasuke pretty much says, "Well, we could make a clone and try to synchronize, make it." Which they begins to talk, which Sakura says, "Oh, how about we make a shadow clone, and the shadow clone will do the mind transfer uh, while basically your main self won't get trapped by it. You can basically make her do whatever you want." Which this is where they try to, and pretty much Naruto makes a clone, and it pretty much works. What Ino says, "Wow, you just found the fall to my own weakness. Can you please teach me?" Which Naruto says, "Oh yeah, of course we can teach you. You're now our friend." Which Kiba says, "Cool." Which also Shikamaru, no, Kiba, Toby, yeah, Troji begins to also do that. Uh, yeah, I guess, and we're gonna say this is where Neji Neji pretty much looks at the spite because regards to say just because he's just a hater. Now this is where of course I'm in class covering bandages and stuff, pretty much covering my whole face and stuff. But I have goggles. I pretty much have goggles, have Obito goggles, and pretty much have the leaf headband on my head. Well, you could say, and also my whole outfit would be Sasuke's. I guess you could say Sasuke's tire outfit with the I guess you could say, yeah, Sasuke's outfit with the tire with the black, you could say, with the whole Itachi fight, the Akatsuki Itachi fight. Yeah, but not with the you could say Kid Sasuke, but with the black Uchiha symbol. Which this is where uh Naruto gets his notice attention and sees me, which I pretty much start sweating and stuff. Which yeah, sorry, which I pretty much begins to, you know, mind your own business. And Naruto comes up to me and says, "Hi, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I noticed that something is different about you." Which I begin to look at him, cover with bandage for a reason. And I say, "What's so different about me?" Which he says, "I don't know. I just feel like I sensed your chakra before." Which I begin to say, "Huh, you must be imagining." Which he begins to, try to make friends with me, which I begin to say no, like a Shikamaru that says, "Okay," which Shikamaru already becomes friends with after Naruto doing the shadow technique. Uh, this is where Sasuke, Sakura, and pretty much Naruto is trying to see about me and trying to understand what's about me. This is where I pretty much have pretty much say, all right, if you can learn this technique, then I'll pretty much be your friend. Now this is where I pretty much make uh make a do style and pretty much do this dark dark style, dark dark Rasengan, black hole Rasengan jutsu, which I pretty much form a black Rasengan hole. Which if I throw it, it gets massive and suck everything in it. But if I throw that person, they pretty much get sucked in the black hole. It's pretty deadly. Now this is where I pretty much forms it. I pretty much show him and says, "Can you learn this technique?" Which this is where our first Sasuke tried to does it and he can't do it. Which he's saying, "What the hell?" This is where, of course, Sasuke uses his Rinnegan to try to learn the technique, but it's not working, and he begins to start lose a lot of chakra, and he begins to fall on his knees, saying, what is that technique? It takes a lot of my chakra, which this is where Sakura try to does it. It tried to, and she almost gets it, which she pretty much falls down and says, that took a lot of chakra out of me, which this is where, of course, Naruto comes in. And I'm going to say Naruto has that upper edge, infinite chakra, so yeah. This is where Naruto performs it, and it takes a lot of chakra out of him, but since he has infinite chakra, he performs it, which I say, oh, amazing. Which, this is where I say, okay, Naruto, I'll be your friend then. Now, this is where, of course, this is where they all sign the scenes, all the signed teams. And I guess this is where Minato knows that Naruto's powerful, and Sasuke and Sakura. He doesn't want them to really be separate on teams, so he basically just makes a legendary Sony team, a new team, which is going to be Team Sony. So this is where he starts picking the candidates that quite fit for Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Now, and also the instructors. Now, this is where we get the instruct. Well, pretty much the team. It's going to be Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura, Shikamaru, Toby, uh, Ino, Hinata, and I think Troby. No, yeah, Troji, uh, Bug Guy. I'm just gonna say Bug Guy, Toby, not Toby, Shikamaru, Kiba, Ino, and Hinata. And then Sasuke, Sakura, and also Naruto. And they also have one more person, which is Kishan Uchiha. Now, of course, this is where Minato picks me because he doesn't know what's really about me. He knows that I pretty much appear in the Leaf Village as a Uchiha, and he's been keeping track of every Uchiha, and he doesn't know anything about me. Even Fugaku doesn't know about me, or don't know my parents, which they try to know. So yeah, they're pretty much curious about me and trying to know what the hell am I, or why am I covered up in bandages. Uh, yeah, I guess this is where they start waiting. Now, oh, also should forgot. Actually, yeah, Nagato will have his own team. I guess you could say Nagato will have Team Seven, be on Team Seven with pretty much Jiraiya. Yeah, Jiraiya as their leader. You could say just for shits and giggles. Might as well for shits and giggles. Actually, no. Kushina. Kushina would be a part of the Team Seven that will watch over pretty much. Yeah, watch over Nagato and his friends. So yeah, let's continue. Pretty much after that, this is where we're all waiting and stuff, and pretty much I'm just chilling, closing my eyes and sleeping. And I also don't have my hair showing because for a reason I'm bandaged up for a reason. Now, this is where we're gonna say the instructors come in, which Naruto sees it's like Kakashi Hatake. Uh, we're gonna say pretty much Fugaku. Yeah, Fugaku. Shisui, Itachi, Itachi. Um, I guess Vajraya. Yeah, Jiraiya, and I guess that's it for now. Oh, my guy. Nah, I mean, nah. I'd say Asuma. We can make that work. I think that would be a good team. And oh yeah, Itachi just slaughtered clan because there's no really need to slaughter clan because Minato is still alive and he pretty much initiate the peace between the leaf inside the leaf. So the Uchiha is still at their recognition and stuff. You could say. Now, uh, this is where Naruto sees his father saying, "Father, what you doing here?" Which this is where Minato says that we're going to be instructors to train y'all and see what y'all can do about see what y'all can do. Which Naruto smiles, Sasuke smiles, and also Sakura smiles to show them what power they got. But this is where Naruto looks at me. He trying to see what's so special about me. Now, of course, this is where we're gonna go to, I guess, the next day, and we're gonna be at the forest of, I guess, the training arc or the bell test arc. Now, this is where they have a lot of bells, and Minato has two bells. Uh, Kakashi has two bells. Fukaku has two bells. Shisui has two bells. Itachi has two bells. Jiraiya, he will be, you could say, late for a reason, and Asuma will have two bells. Now, this is where Minato says that their main goal for they basically look at Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto. It says your goal is to get all the bells from us, which Naruto says piece of cake. Sasuke says this will be easy, which Sakura says, oh yeah, this will be easy. Which this is where uh Minato says, but you have to also protect your friends. If any one of your team members, if y'all lose more than I guess five of your team members, this is where you're out. Which they say what? Which pretty much Naruto says, alright. Which this is where they both nod and they begins to get ready. Now this is where Minato says go and it begins to start you could say the spreadsheet. Now this is where Naruto, Sasuke, and pretty much Sakura pretty much stand still and they begins to step aside from each other. This is where we're gonna say Sasuke goes in the Kissiem form or chakra coat, or yeah, we're gonna say Kisame club form. Well, we're just gonna say, yeah, Sasuke goes in Kisame form of the Eight Tails. It begins to say, look like it's time to go serious, and begins to charge at his brother Itachi, while Itachi already gets serious out the bat and gets in his cage armor armor Sasuna and begins to start fighting with Sasuke. While Sakura, she pretty much goes at Asuma and begins to go at him first. Which this is where, of course, Minato charges at his son Naruto, which Naruto charges at his father. Now they're pretty much having a fight and stuff. Wow. Pretty much, we're gonna say Kiba, Shikamaru, and work together to try to get Kakashi and get his bell because they want to also prove their strength and stuff. And also, Kiba is there too. I mean, I'm just basically not doing anything, just chilling. Now, this is where Kakashi is pretty much getting fighting with Shikamaru, Kiba, and Yeah, pretty much fighting with them and Asuma. Pretty much. Actually, no. Asuma is fighting with Sakura. Yeah. So actually, no. Sakura is fighting with Shisui and Fugaku. So yeah, Asuma is pretty much helping Kakashi. Now this is where they're fighting and stuff, and this is where Asuma begins to back up use burning ash technique, and this is where Shikamaru is about to get hit by it until I pretty much take the blood force and get blast. Now, of course, this is where all my regs is getting burnt. I begin to say, man, I really trying not to show myself, but I guess it's time to go serious since you burned my rags, and also messed up my headband, which I begins to take off the ropes and stuff. Now, this one, Minato is, shocked and stuff, and begins to see, I guess, like, since Killer Bleed Black, but they begin to see that, begins to see that I'm the first ever Black Uchiha, or you could say a different Uchiha, which Fugaku is shocked too, saying, "You're Uchiha?" Which I begins to say, "You see the back emblem on me," which he pretty much says, "Huh, okay." Now this is where uh Kakashi pretty much pulls out his Sharingan and begins to say, "Look like it's time to get serious." Then, which he pulls out his Sharingan, which I pretty much says, "Huh, look like I'm just gonna have to." look like I'm just gonna have to get serious then. Which I begin to transform my arm into a missile thing. A missile thing. It begins to fire missiles at Kakashi, which everybody's just shocked, including Naruto. He's dumbfounded that my arm can transform into a robot arm and shot at blast. This is where Kakashi substitutes out there. He begins to shoot the fireball at me. This is where I pretty much look at the fireball and I pretty much grabs it and absorbs it, which I pretty much shoots it back at him and shoots an even larger one at him. Now, of course, this is where Kakashi dodges out the way, which Shikamaru plans his attack and pretty much captures Kakashi, which Ino immediately put Kakashi in the mind control or mind jutsu and pretty much Kiba grabs the bells. Now, of course, this is where Troji comes in and throws a punch at Asuma, which Asuma immediately backs up, which I pretty much activate my Sharingan. Pretty much put my goggles on and say, alright. And I pretty much do hand seals and say, fire style. Fire style. Black. Well, I pretty much do black fire style. Black crows. Burning. Black crows jutsu, which I pretty much shoots out. Pretty much I shoots out and hit Asuna. Now, this is where Asuma's trying to dodge the crows, but the crows are pretty much is disappearing and reappearing. You could say they're teleporting, reappearing everywhere, and pretty much hitting Asuma and disappearing and reappearing and just hitting him over left and right and stuff. This is where Asuma hits the ground, pretty much uh kneeling down and stuff. Which I pretty much walk up to him and says, "Do you give up?" Which I have a little blade, which I pretty much turn my hand into a chakra blade and I say, "Do you give up?" Which Asuma says, "Huh." Do I ever? Which he pretty much shoots, pretty much goes for a stab, and pretty much stabs me in my chest, which I pretty much says it was just an illusion. Which Asuma says, what? I'm under a genjutsu? Which I say, no, my genjutsu is reality. Which everybody see that I pretty much, you could say, turned up the heat, which I pretty much used the beam and strike down Asuma, which Asuma pretty much hits down the ground and pretty much out. Which I pretty much grabs the bells and says, this is tiring. Here goes Shikamaru. Which I begin to say, yeah, I'm just gonna rest now. This is where Minato realized that I'm a bigger threat than Naruto, Sasuke, and also Sakura, and he begins to mark a tree and throws a flying Raijin at me. This is where before I sit, I begin to look at the flying Raijin and I pretty much slows down time and I seize it. This is where I see it has the mark seal. I begins to say, This is where Naruto blitzes, and he's using his speed hit scan to try to stop it from happening, which I pretty much just back away from it. Back away from it and pretty much starts to throw knives everywhere. Well, you could say as I'm flowing time, I'm throwing knives everywhere at a quick speed. I pretty much jump at another tree, pretty much standing at the tree. It says, and let time resume, which Minato reappears and teleport, which he says, what? And he gets hit by knives everywhere, which he substitutes out there and says, huh, how did he do that? This is where, of course, I'm at the tree saying, huh, nice trick, Minato, but I could do it better, which I begin to have my knives, and I start to throw multiple knives everywhere on the battlefield. Now, as the knives is multiple, you could say at everywhere, this is where I look at Naruto, and I begin to say, alright, Naruto, you ready? Which Naruto thinks of the same thing and says, alright, let's do it. Which Naruto already got down the flying Raijin, so he perfected it, but I have it in a, like the ultimate that it can be. Which this is where I start doing hand seals that says element style, all elements, jutsu, which I pretty much shoots at one Raijin, which all the Raijin's elements starts to be offensive and defensive. So pretty much Minato can't destroy them, and if anyone gets close by them, they pretty much start shooting elements out. So this is where I pretty much teleport to Minato and kicks him in the stomach, which Minato is trying to use the flying Raijin mark, but I pretty much cancel out his flying Raijin mark, so he can't use any teleporting or new jutsus or anything. This is where Naruto comes in. He starts barraging Minato with attacks too, which me and him is barraging Minato up to the point that I pretty much back up and I say like Shidori, or I say white electric, and I charge straight forward, pretty much hitting Minato, but just knocking him out. Now, of course, this is where Naruto grabs the bell, and he pretty much gives me one, which I pretty much says thanks. But Sasuke already dispatches the fight with Fukaku and Itachi, pretty much defeating both of them and grabbing the bells. And Sakura pretty much, I guess, fights with Shisui and wins that fight because Sakura has a Susanoo too, and her Susanoo is pink, so just because I want it to be, but pretty much she defeats um Shisui by putting him in a Genjutsu, much stronger than him. Since Shisui shows her the ultimate Genjutsu, she pretty much copied his and used it even better, you could say. Now, after that, this is where they're all citing and stuff, and I'm pretty much saying, yeah, I guess this was cool. Which he says, I didn't know you was a Black Uchiha, which I said, yeah, what, there's no Black Uchihas? Which, this is where Sasuke says, no, there's no Black Uchihas at all. Now, this is where, of course, I guess, okay, well, this is where, of course, Minato get up and says, huh, y'all might have passed, but the fight is still not over yet. This is going to be a real battle, which, this is where the rest of the team, you could say Kiba, Hinata, well, not Hinata. She pretty much gets to a fighting stance, but pretty much you could say Kiba, Shikamaru, and Troji. Yeah, they start goping. Now, of course, this is where I pretty much says, alright, if you can't learn this move, then I bet you can't learn this move. Well, I basically say to Naruto, I bet you can't learn this move, which this is where I shoot pretty much does a hand still. I says, like, fire style, light ball jutsu. Well, I pretty much says, light style, light ball jutsu. I pretty much shoot out a light ball. Now, as the light ball is pretty much small, I pretty much say, expand. And I make it huger. And it starts to pretty much hit everybody. But I made it to a degree not to kill everybody. And pretty much to just stun everybody, which everybody gets hit by the light ball, but it only stuns the people I want it to stun. Which Minato is down on the ground and says, What did you do? Which our much says, oh, I completely erased all your chakra. Which Naruto is shocked by this and says, what? What did you do? You did what? Which pretty much says, you heard me, Naruto. I erased his chakra. They can't use chakra anymore. Which they're all dumbfounded and shocked that I have a jutsu like that can cancel out people chakra. Of course, this is where I summon my galaxy Geto Tensei, or tell Naruto to summon his Geto Tensei, and tells everybody to pretty much go in there, which they all start going one by one, and starts to get their chakra healed up, which I will get their chakra back, which I pretty much tell them sorry, and I pretty much will not be fighting in this fight, which Minato says, no, at least they want to have a fight, which I begin to say, alright, if y'all say so, plus these three, alright. Which Minato wants to see what other abilities I have because now they know I'm a threat, or you could say now they know I'm dangerous of what powerful jutsu I did. So they're trying to figure out more. This is where of course Jiraiya comes in and well, yeah, this is where of course Jiraiya comes in and says sorry that he's late, which this is where Minato says, oh, well, they pretty much passed the test, but do you wanna join us in a good serious sparring match? Which Sasuke gets in goes in his KCM form. Link with pretty much the eight tail. So Sasuke KCM form is pretty much is with the link with the eight tail right there. Uh, Sakura will be linked with I guess the two tails, so she will have a two tails chakra code. It will be like that with Sasuke's with blue. But yeah, this is where they get in a KCM form, and I pretty much uh back up, and I pretty much say, all right, I guess it's time to get serious. Which I begins to create two clones of me, which I begin to say, try to defeat my clones. While I go and relax, which I pretty much say on the ground. Now, this is where Joy comes in the fight, and they starts to fight with my clones, and also Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura in their stages. Well, you could say in their BG forms. Now, of course, they did not win in that favor, and they pretty much lost badly, which Naruto had to go with the healing. Now, after that, this is where they start doing missions. Now, as they're doing missions, this is where they try to find a good mission, like higher mission, which they can only find a C mission. Or yeah, C mission, which is to protect Tazna. Now, of course, this is where Tazna will come in, but he would not judge the team because he sees Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, and they're pretty much, the Sage of Six Paths, the third reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths. So he ain't gonna be talking shit. But other than that, let's get going. As we're pretty much going, this is where Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura notice that it's a puddle, and they begin to jump in, immediately shoot. Well, Sasuke immediately this touch the water, and shocks the water, but not everyone who's walking on it. It's only the water, in which this is where the Demon Brothers pretty much jumps out, which Naruto pretty much shoots a fireball at one of them, pretty much erasing one of them, and Sakura pretty much punches the other one down to the ground, pretty much breaking every single bone in his body. Now, as he's trying to get up, this is where Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura appear uh, around him, pretty much with the kind of like a form as a triangle, and pretty much asks, "Why is he attacking uh, them and stuff?" Which he begins to explain in fear and stuff, and saying that he was only here in to pretty much kill Tazuna and stop the bridge making. Which this is where Naruto asks Tazuna, "Is this a B mission?" Which she pretty much saying sorry, he can only have enough for the C mission. Which Naruto says, begins to smile and says it's okay, and also Sasuke and uh yeah, Sakura, because they're, you could say, much wiser, and they understand everything, so they're not really into angry or emotional thing. But let's continue. Now as they're going, this is where uh as they're going, this is where a bunch of swords, a giant sword start coming, which Naruto Naruto tells everybody to duck and stuff, which Sasuke, uh Sakura, and also Naruto use the Kamui technique, and pretty much they have their own dimension. So yeah, they also have the Kamui, so they pretty much Kamui, which I pretty much just stops time. Well, slow down time. It pretty much just goes under it and just walk beside him. Which Naruto pretty much looks at me and say, "How does he do that?" Now, of course, this is where um, Zabuza appears right behind the sword, and this is where the seven swordsmen start appearing too. Now, this is going. I'm only doing this because we gotta give Naruto like something of a fight, or somewhat of a fight, and begins to say who are them, which they begin to say they are the legend seven swordsmen. Which this is where I say, oh, this is gonna be fun. Now, of course, this is where we're gonna say one of the legendary swordsmen, Zabuza, used a water dragon technique to pretty much get the early surprise. But this is where Naruto pretty much, this is where I pretty much slice the water dragon in half and say, huh, so y'all was trying to do an early attack. But this is where uh, Zabuza looks around, and he noticed that Minato, the Hokage, is there. Which he says, "Oh, Minato, you're out here? Oh, this will be fun killing you. We don't even have to work no more if we kill you." Which this is where Zabuza also looks around, and he also realized that he sees it's Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, which he says, "Shit, the three sages of six paths, they're here with you? Oh, if we if we kill them, then we're just gonna be wanted around the whole world. Which, because we're gonna say, since Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto has a big influence, if they die, whoever kills them will have a big ass bounty on their head. So this is where the Seven Swordsman says, "Huh, we just don't kill them. We just kill Minato and get it. They pretty much make a fortune out of it." This is where, of course, Naruto appears in front of Zabuza, which Zabuza barely just inches away. Well, just inches away. Dodges the attack, but pretty much his blade takes a little bit of a crack. Now, this is where Zabuza is holding his, pretty much breathing hard, but pretty much cuts his hand and feeds his blade with blood, which his blade begins to heal up, which Sasuke and Naruto and also Sakura is impressed with. This is where I pretty much tells everybody that I got this. And I begins to pull out my little blade and says, "Oh, well, my little knife," and say, "Well, shall we get started then?" Which, this is where Zabuza says, "Huh, you're gonna fight us by yourself?" Which I pretty much says, "I'm not even gonna use my Sharingan on y'all." Which I pretty much switch my goggles out with. Well, not really. I guess I pretty much switched my outfit out with Obito's outfit with the goggles. Well, not really with the goggles, but with the sunshades, with the black sunshades that cover up my eyes. Now, this is where I'm fighting with them and stuff, and pretty much dodging their attacks and stuff. And this is where Zabuza uses his blade way, which I pretty much copy his blade. I pretty much counter out and says, "Huh." Which Zabuza says, "What? Did you just copy my blade?" Which I says, "Yeah, I have all your blades." Which this is where I do a technique of the water dragon and sends it flying to Zabuza, which Zabuza get hits by it. But pretty much this is where the other swordsmen, which I don't know all their names, but I'm just gonna say by the swords, one with the explosion weapon that has all the paper bombs and stuff, pretty much goes in and trying to hit me, which I pretty much counter out with the other swordsman with his long fin sword, and pretty much hit the swordsman with the strings. It pretty much appears right behind. Well, pretty much blitzes him. It appears right uh behind him. No, right in front of him, and pretty much grabs the strings down, which he pretty much gets tightened up, and or you could say gets wrapped up, and pretty much is like still say, "What? How?" Of course, this is where the one with the strings trying to use the same technique. Well, doesn't he have technique because he haven't mastered it yet? It says, "What? How did he master my technique?" Which this is where I back up instead, and pretty much summon the other weapons and does the electrics, shoot the electrics out, and pretty much hit the guy with the strings, which he's pretty much paralyzed and falls down to the ground. Now this is where the girl charges at me with her blades and says, "That's a pretty neat trick that you have there," which I pretty much get the pretty much backs up and grab the hammer and axe and just does the earth thing, smash the earth and pretty much hit her with it. While the earth and I guess I think that was it. The earth thing. Oh, the earth thing is trying to hit me. Pretty much I hit them with it. Now, of course, this is where Kisame is as an extra backup and tried to charge at me and trying to drain my chakra. This is where, as he hits me with the blade, it pretty much cuts me with it and takes some of my chakra. This is where his blade begins to act crazy and pretty much attacks him. Now, this is where Kisame pretty much blade starts going crazy and run and flies straight to me, which I grabs it. Which I grab his blade and say, "Huh, look like your blade likes me. I think I'm gonna keep it." Which Kisame says, "Huh, like you're gonna have my blade." This is where I transform his blade into a pretty much makes it I boost his blade up and makes it crazy. And his blade begins to start going crazy, which I say, "Hold there, Doug." Which his blade begins to go straight for Kisame and eats him alive. Like turns into a giant mouth and eats him alive. Which I begin to say, "Oh." Which Naruto is shocked, Sasuke is shocked, and also Sakura and everybody else is dumbfounded of what I'm doing. Now, of course, this is where the rest of the Legend Seven, Seven Swordsmen begins to work together and try to, get me off guard or get the least surprise. This is where I back up and they pretty much have me cornered and use all their techniques on me. Now, of course, this is where I say, congratulations, you made me use 1% of my, maybe use one tomoe of my Sharingan, which I pretty much take off my glasses and show my Galaxy Sharingan eyes. Now, this is where I disappear. Now, of course, as I disappear, they're pretty much trying to figure out where the hell I just went. There's no way I could have got out of there, which I pretty much says, I'm right behind you. Which Zabuza says, what? And I pierce through Zabuza's heart. Now, of course, this is where Haku starts to cry and runs out to Zabuza and says, Zabuza! And throws her simple news and, try her best to pretty much get me off Zabuza, which I pretty much pretty much pretty much look at her and she pretty much be frozen with fear because when I look at her, I pretty much gave her everything as I let her have the full force of everything. Fear, hatred, tears, like all her deaths, everything that you can possibly imagine. She basically sees it. She begins to start peeing her panties, and she starts to run away. Which she begins to run away with fear and stuff. Now, of course, this is where I rips out, pulls it out, and say, "Huh, that's just great." Which the rest of the swordsman starts to try to figure out what they're doing next until I pretty much starts to stop time, which I say time stop. And I start appearing in front of them and stuff. Throwing knives everywhere. Throwing knives everywhere at them. And I pretty much back up and said, make time as while I'm holding knives in my hand. Which this is where they all get hit by knives. Which I said, what? Where does the knives come from? Which Naruto is dumbfounded of what the hell just happened. Now, after they're pretty much down, and they're all down and dead, I pretty much say, well, that was tiring. And I say, shall we go now? Which this is where they all have their jaw drop, but we continue. Now, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura will be training Ino, Shikamaru, Kiba, and uh, Troji how to tree walk. And I guess the bug guy would be there too because I guess. And also Hinata. They also all learn how to tree walk. Now, of course, and they know they get to the first try due to Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, actually pushing them and believing in them and stuff and giving them that blessing. So everybody's gonna get strong. But pretty much after that, this is where I start chilling by the tree, hanging out. Which this is where Haku comes back in. She begins to starts to look down and says that she doesn't have nowhere to go or no one to really serve anymore. And then she looks up to me and asks, "Should I end my own life?" Which I begin to say, "There's other there's other universes of you ending your life and stuff. How about you just join me? You could be my personal servant." Which this is where Haku accepts, accepts it, and she basically be loyal to me. Now, after Haku disappears, this is where I guess you could say my clones, the clones that I had, pretty much appear. Says, "Lord Kishan, the village is waiting for you. When are you gonna be back?" Which I pretty much says, in time means, which this is where they is covered with ropes. It begins to head back. Now, of course, this is where I will be. I guess, yeah, heading back, and it begins to say. Naruto begins to smile and says, "Kishan, you're back. So are you going to teach me a new technique?" Which Sasuke and Sakura says, and he's going to teach us some techniques too. Which I begin to say, "Ari, I teach y'all one technique at a stop. I teach y'all a new unique technique," which I begins to show them the Rasengan Shuriken and pretty much teaching them how to combine elements with it, or the QB elements, since they have it. Which they begin to, study with it, and they feel like, oh, it's amazing, ask for another one, which I tell them maybe tomorrow, which they start getting pouty, and they say, all right. Now, of course, this is where, at nighttime, and as everybody's asleep and stuff, this is where I pretty much teleport out there, or create a second clone and teleport out of there, and appear at my village. And what my village is, it's the heading. What's a good? Oh, it's the Black Clouds, or you could say, what's a good thing? The hidden leaf, the hidden fire. I mean, the hidden sand. The hidden earth. I guess you could say the hidden grass. I never heard anyone did that, so I guess my village would be named the hidden grass, just for shits and giggles. Actually, no, the hidden galaxy, or the you could say. Now, of course, this is where I peer back in. All the clones that I had, or DNA I got, is from all the people, as from Minato up to Kushina, Nagato, and his friends. I just have every DNA, including Naruto and stuff. Now, this is where Sasuke clone, she begins to say, "Ah, Lord Kishan, you're back." Which I begin to say, "Yeah, I'm back." Now, this is where I pretty much go on my throne and sit down and say, "Ah, so what I missed?" Now, this is where uh I guess Shikamaru, Kid Virgin, I guess you could say, the female Shikamaru begins to show us, say, uh, yeah, right now, and she begins to open the store. We have to get repairs done, get also upgrades and stuff, and I begin to say, oh, this is going to be painful, but alright. And I begin to start creating clones and operate on the hidden galaxy. As upgraded technology, doing a lot of things, basically, doing a lot of stuff. Now, this is where all the Chincheriki's clones, like Gara and them, begins to start walking forward and saying, female Gara, which, all the Chincheriki's are females, and they begins to appear and say, Lord Kishan, so what is going to be your next plan? Which I begins to say, well, right now, I need y'all to get stronger to train and stuff for the right time. And also, Ugar, since you're the one-tailed Chinchuriki, which I pretty much made copies of the ten tails of all the Chinchurikis, including the ten tails, you could say. And this is where the ten tails comes out, which is pretty much Ren. Now it's the clone of Ren, you could say. Now, this is where Ren and, you could say, male, well, nah, female Ren and female Obito Kakashi starts appearing, and I begin to tell them that they just need to keep an eye on the village and stuff. While I pretty much do all these upgrades and stuff. So they say, okay. This is where female Shikamaru asks if I'm going to be going back to Leaf Village, which I begin to say, yeah, and I have to go help them out. Which this is where Shikamaru says, female Shikamaru says, you always be doing this, helping out others and stuff. Which I begin to say, not really. I just want to do it because I want to. Honestly, I can erase this whole universe if I wanted to. Which Shikamaru begins to sweat and say, well, at least you're not going to do that. Which I begin to smile and says, yeah, at least. Which she gets scared and I say, I'm just joking. Which she pretty much says, you need to stop joking like that. Which she begins to start blushing. And also, the female clones all blush too. That a copy of all characters. So yeah. And also yeah, female Jiraiya and you could say they're all 10 years old, pretty much at the Hidden Galaxy, all for reasons, but they're pretty much my age, you could say. Now let's pretty much continue. Now After that, we're gonna say this is where they hit the bridge part. Now, this is where, of course, Gato, finally got his name. Gato henchmen all come in, and they pretty much, we're gonna say, have much powerful blades and stuff, and saying that they're going to make sure to stop this operation. Now, of course, this is where Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura get ready, which I pretty much tell them to. How about y'all try? How about just try? How about y'all try not to use your say your Biju cloak form, and just fight them regularly. I want to see what I can do. Which Naruto says, all right, bet. And they begin to start charging at them and pretty much whoop all their asses and stuff. And Shikamaru was there to help out and also pretty much the students just did all the stuff and finished it. But after that, they named the great Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura Bridge. Now, the mission becomes a success, and Naruto pretty much calmly everybody, also Sasuke, and actually this Naruto calmly everybody back to Leaf Village, which Minato is just at odd that Naruto just did that. Which I pretty much small. That says, glad to be home. Which I say, well, I'll be seeing y'all guys. I'm just gonna go eat and sleep. Which Naruto begins to stop me and asks, will they be doing training later on? Which I begin to say, I mean, I guess all of us can do training tomorrow. Which Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura be excited that they get to train with me, but also the rest of them too. Now this is mix one. Well, not mix one. Mix two parts. Yeah, you could say parts. Yeah, you could say mix part two. If you like, comment, do all that stuff. But I'm Keisha Chi. Thanks for watching and peace out.
It looks like you lost another one.